All right, let's talk about how technology is just completely shaking up the way we buy and sell homes. I mean, forget scrolling through endless, kind of boring photo galleries. We're going to dive into these immersive experiences that don't just show you a house, they actually make you feel what it's like to live there.
You know this feeling, right? If you've ever been on the hunt for a new place, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're just scrolling, and after a while, every house just starts to look the same. It all becomes a blur. And for sellers, well, that's a huge problem.
And that feeling leads us straight to this place, what I like to call the listing graveyard. It's where good homes go to be forgotten. In today's super crowded online market, most listings just don't make an impression. They got lost in all the noise, and, they become just another ghost in the machine.
I mean, here's the honest truth about real estate online. You have maybe a split second to grab someone's attention. If your listing doesn't immediately pop off that screen, if it doesn't make someone stop mid-scroll and go, whoa, wait a second, it's just gone. Another swipe. Forgotten.
So, the big question is, how do you actually break through all of that noise? Well, it's all about offering a totally new perspective. And that's where we get to introduce the tools that are frankly a complete game changer for sellers and agents.
Okay, so let's break down the two main players here. On one hand, you've got virtual tours. These are the awesome interactive walkthroughs that let a potential buyer explore every single nook and cranny of a house, right from their phone or their laptop. And then you have aerial shots. These give you that incredible bird's eye view, showing not just the house, but the whole property, the street, the neighborhood vibe, the whole shebang.
But the real strategy here isn't just about, adding more pictures. It's about combining these powerful tools to build a full, professional experience. It's about creating a presentation that builds confidence and trust with a buyer before they've even stepped out of their car.
So how does this whole winning formula actually work? Well, step one, you use aerial shots to add that crucial context. Is the backyard private? Is there a park down the street? Then, step two, you use short video clips to tell an emotional story. Step three, floor plans come in to clarify the layout so there are no surprises. And finally, step four, the virtual tour seals the deal by building that all-important trust.
And this all plugs into this really powerful idea called emotional marketing. It's really just the art of creating a genuine connection by showing, not just telling. So instead of writing sunny kitchen in the description, you show a little 15-second clip of the morning sun just pouring through the window. See, that's not just data anymore. That's a feeling. And that feeling is what makes someone start to imagine their life there.
Okay, feelings are great, but in real estate, it really all comes down to the bottom line, right? The payoff. So let's get into the numbers. How do all these clicks and views and warm, fuzzy feelings actually translate into a real-world return on investment? Well, check this out. One agent reported that their listing with a drone video got 3 times the engagement compared to similar homes in the exact same area. 3 times. That's not just a lucky break. That's a direct result of a smarter strategy.
And that massive boost in engagement, it creates this awesome domino effect. You get more views, which leads to more shares, which brings in more serious buyers. Your properties start standing out on the big sites like Zillow and Redfin. And the result? The house is on the market for way less time, and pretty often it sells for more money. It really is a clear win-win.
But beyond all the data points, there are these really powerful human stories. So let's look at a real-world example of how this technology can completely transform not just a sale, but people's lives.
So the story begins with this modest little ranch house. It was a nice home, nothing wrong with it, but the online listing was, well, it was pretty basic. And because of that, it had been sitting on the market for weeks, totally stagnant. The sellers were, as you can imagine, starting to get really nervous. So after weeks of getting absolutely nothing, the agent decides to add a virtual tour and some new aerial shots. And the result was just wow. It was astonishing. Only 3 days later, the house was sold. And get this, it wasn't just sold. It sold for above the asking price. The turnaround was practically immediate.
So what was the magic ingredient here? What changed? Well, the buyer's feedback really says it all. They said, and I'm quoting here, the online tour made them fall in love before they even stepped inside. The in-person visit was basically just to confirm what they already felt.
And that is what this is all about. The seller was so relieved they cried happy tears. The agent, of course, looked like an absolute rock star and got a ton of new referrals. And the buyer got to start the next chapter of their life in a home they already loved. I mean, everybody won.
So let's bring it all back to that very first click. Because in today's market, you really do only get one shot to make that critical first impression online. What somebody sees in those first few seconds, well, it determines everything that comes next.
So the big takeaway here is this: virtual tours, aerial shots. These aren't just fancy bells and whistles anymore. They're essential. They're your ticket to selling a home faster, for more money, and with much, much happier clients all around.
Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Whether you're a seller, an agent, or even a buyer just looking at listings, take a second to consider the story that's being told. Is it just a flat collection of photos, or is it a real experience? So, what story is your first impression telling?